Talked about our team all week, talked to our team all week about the importance of practicing well. I thought we did that last week, mentioned it to you guys, and I thought we had our best week of practice to date. And like I told you earlier, when you practice well, you tend to play well. We knew we needed to get off to a fast start. First conference game, home game, the next game, all the things that we preached our team about. And they took it to heart. We got off to a very fast start. I thought we played well in all three phases of the game, and got off, like I said, got the ball to our playmakers, and I thought that showed early that we was able to get a few matchups that really helped us. But I was first pleased that we was able to run the football, and like I said, when we can run the football most times, that opens up the passing game for us, and I thought we were pretty balanced. We was able to do that against a very good defensive football team. Defensively, I tell you, I thought we played extremely well, kept them in front of us, didn't allow many big plays, and that was a big part of the game too. Caused 2 turnovers, won the turnover battle, and they were the #1 team in the conference coming in with turnover margin. And I mentioned that being a big part of the game too. So glad to get that first conference win under our belt. Glad to win at home. Our kids take a lot of pride in that, and I think they play with a lot of pride and a lot of emotion at home, and love the crowd. I thought the crowd was into it. I really appreciate all the fans that braved the weather all day and stayed and made it a great game environment. So now moving on to a very tough Western Kentucky team who I think is very talented. I think on both sides of the ball. I think offensively, Antonio Andrews is no surprise that he is right now, I think, leading the nation in rushing. Just phenomenal back. Strong, fast, physical. He's got all the tools, and that's probably why they've evolved a little bit with what they're doing offensively to fit what they do, what they have, and they have a very talented team. Defensively, Andrew Jackson seems like every year that guy's still there, still waiting for him to graduate. He is still roaming around back there, making a lot of plays. He's just a very physical player that makes his presence known when he tackles you. I think their secondary is very active, big guys that can run, a lot of speed, and their front gets a lot of pressure on you. So it'll be a big challenge going on the road with this crazy schedule that we have for the next few weeks. So with that, I'll see if you've got any questions.
Coach, you talked about them coming out and establishing the run, but clearly you expected them when you came out on the first series and you saw what they lined up, that you guys were ready for that and just won over top and took advantage of some matchups there.
Well, we thought we were going to take some shots in some calculated times against some guys. We felt like we could get some matchups with Jamal, and he did a great job on the post route early. And then Sergi came back on the double move on the safety a few drives later. But I was also proud of the way we ran the ball. Thought Alonzo ran the ball extremely hard, extremely well. And I got to give a lot of credit to that offensive line because we ran into the ball both well. And when you do that, it all starts with those guys up front.
Western Kentucky last year, of course, they have a new defensive coordinator now, but last year their defensive philosophy was just to try to hit you as hard as they could, try to blow you up. And it came back really to haunt them a couple of times in the game last year. What do you see from them defensively now? Are they a different type of club in the way they approach defense? Are they a different type in the way they tackle?
They are. They're different. They're different in their scheme from what they did last year, and they're a very fundamentally sound team. You can tell that too. And there's a reason why I think they're #1 in the conference in total defense. And they're fundamentally sound. They play extremely hard, and they've got good players too, especially good players. And so I think they're a very solid defensive unit. It's not many cracks that you can find.
Beyond the preparation issues, when you look back at those 2 games that stretched last year, what went wrong there, and what can you guys change to make it different this year?
You know, one of the things I mentioned last year, we had a little extra time before the first one, and going back and looking, sometimes you can, you think you've got all this extra time, so you need to do all this extra work, and so you're out there on the field more, and you're out there on those extra days that you normally don't have. And so I thought we may have been a tired football team last year. And see, then once that game was over, we had another short week, and so it just sort of compiled right on top of us right there. And I just felt like we did too much, grinded them too much, did come into the game with fresh legs. And we sort of took a different approach this past week, even with the open date, with plenty of time of giving our guys ample rest. And I think after going 8 weeks of grinding and 2-a-day practice and getting into the season, they needed a little emotional break, because that can wear on you as much as the physical part.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but what about the mental, were they mentally prepared for those two last year? And what can you do to make sure they're mentally prepared, knowing how important that this?
Yeah, I think it was probably very mentally prepared last year because of all the extra practice time we put in. So we knew what to do. That was not the issue. It was coming down to executing and winning one-on-one battles. And when you go to a gunfight, you don't want to bring a slingshot. And so I just think that this year we're going to make sure our guys are fresh. They're ready to play physically. Their legs are sharp. Their minds are sharp. And because we're going to get the same amount of preparation, plus a little bit with this extra time. Western, though, we'll have a few more days since they played on Thursday, so it's really almost 2 weeks that they'll get. And so, but then the critical part is we'll come home after playing a late kickoff at 7. We'll get home at 2 or 3 in the morning and have to go back on the road again the following week. And so we've got a pretty tough schedule these next few weeks.
Can you talk about the progress of Terrence Broadway over the last 2 seasons?
You know, this being his first season as a starter, even though he finished the season last year on a high note and played extremely well, still his first year as a starter. And you can see the progress that he has made this year from game to game to game to game. Expectations, to me, maybe a little too high for him early, considering hey, this is his first year as a starter. Right now, I think he's played at a very high level. I think our team is playing at a much higher level than we were at the beginning of the season. And I think all of his players around him are. So I think they've raised their level of play, he's raised his, and respectively has made us a better football team. So now, though, the key is to continue in our development and continue bringing everybody else along and continuing to improve and each week as we try to get better.
Coach, they keep slinging these older veteran coaches at you, Bowden and Coach Fran, and now Bobby P. What are your thoughts on him? You told us about Fran last week.
Well, Coach Petrino has been successful wherever he has been, and I've had a chance to, get to meet Coach Petrino a few times. And great guy. He is to me, he is a football coach, and he's not a guy that sort of just coaches the team and watches, and lets his coordinators. He is involved in all facets of the game. I think he is a phenomenal X and O's coach, and you can tell he's got his stamp on that team already, doing a great job. So it'll be a huge challenge because I know he'll have his guys ready.
How does he have his stamp on the team? Because you look at it, you have Andrews rushing the ball and a tough defense, very similar to last year. How have you seen kind of his stamp?
Well, to me, what it shows how good a coach he is, because typically he's probably is known best for probably slinging the ball around a little bit, but and maybe having a great passing game. But people really don't really realize until you really study him, he's very good at the run game, and he's taken the talent that he's had there because he has a great offensive line and one of the best running backs in the country, and he's utilized it. And to me, that's good coaching. And taking what he's got, adapting what he does to his talent, and that's why they've been so successful.
Mark, when you looked at these next 2 games on your schedule, did it strike you as this being the meat of the schedule? These 2 games are very crucial games in your quest to win the Sun Belt title?
Well, you always try to take them one game at a time,
Yeah.
and you never try to look ahead or look behind. We just try to take it the next game. But it just so happened that the teams that we have the next few weeks are right up there in the standings and have played at a very high level, especially Western Kentucky having a win over Kentucky, having a win over a very good Navy team. And both those games they had were home games, and that was that's pretty good. We need to get some home games like that, and playing those type of teams at home instead of on the road. And so give them credit. Two big wins right there, and so they're I think off to a good start.
With Gillis' injury, obviously TJ kind of assumes that safety spot. Who becomes that third safety, and how does that injury maybe kind of change how you work back there?
You know, that's made things a little bit interesting. You know, we still think our secondary has really improved since week 1 tremendously. And Sean Thomas now will be a full-time guy. Him and Rodney were sort of sharing time, so now Sean is stepping into full-time safety spot along with TJ, and so they'll be back there. And then, as you know now, that'll force Simeon Thomas to be more involved in the role. And T-Pat could be a guy that swings back and forth from corner to safety if T-Pat is needed at safety, if we need a third safety. And so, and Simeon would be the third corner. And so we got some guys that will double up a little bit. And we got some other guys too, though, Javante Riles and Dominic Jones are also beginning some reps, and they've really improved too. So really like our secondary. They've gotten much better and been playing at a very high level. So that's not one of our worries right now. Just want to stay healthy.
What about Chris Hill? He's kind of stepped up for, I think, 8 tackles last 2 games. What makes him tick? What's behind him?
Chris Hill is, to me, is a guy that's just got a very high motor, plays extremely fast, can cover up mistakes with his speed. You know, he was a state champion wrestler in Florida, so when he gets a hold of you, you're not really getting loose. I don't know if there's anybody on this team that really want to challenge him to a wrestling match. He put, you know, what's it called, the old figure 4 we used to watch Superstar Bill Dundee do sometimes. So and so some of those guys back in the old days, so he may get you locked down and not let you go. So that makes him a really good tackler. He's very physical, can really run. He's a guy that can really run, and so he's been a big asset to our defensive team, and also in our kickoff unit. He had 2 tackles last night, 2 solo tackles Saturday night on kickoff, and so and he's leading on the kickoff team the whole game. So he's doing really good.
I know we're talking a lot about the offense and Terrence's progression at the points, but defensively, considering the night that you guys had this past Saturday, do you think maybe the defense is a little bit undervalued right now, at least from what they're being able to produce right now?
Yeah, I think you know, just the first game sort of gave them a black eye that's taken them a little time to recover from. Because really they've played much better since that first game. Each game they've gotten much better, and then in the last couple of weeks they've really performed at a very high level. So I think that we've created some depth. We've got a lot of guys that are making plays, and I think that defensive line depth is really starting to pay off because we're running a lot of guys in. So the opponent offensive line is getting a guy's best shot. Instead of playing against one guy for 60 snaps, he's playing against a fresh guy for 30. And then you roll in somebody else in every 3 or 4 snaps, and I think after a while they can sometimes take a toll on you.
What is the key to dealing with Andrew? Do you put anything extra in the box or make any adjustments for him than you would for any other running back?
Well, you better tackle, and the thing he's good at is yak yards, we call it. And it's yards after contact, and he runs behind those pads. We better tackle. You know, and the thing is, do you want to put more people in the box? Yeah, you could, but now you're leaving yourself very susceptible to play action or plays over the top. If you back everybody out worried about play action, he's going to just absolutely run it up your throat. So you know, you got to pick and choose when you're going to take your chances at trying to guess right that it's coming his way. But you know, he can run it on perimeter, he can run it on the inside. But the key is everybody's got to take their gaps, everybody's got to do their jobs, and when we get there, you've got to tackle. And that's going to be a huge challenge against this guy because he's very tough.
Did the Arkansas game help you a little bit, prepare for him, because you faced 2 studs there?
Yeah, we faced some really good backs there, and we didn't fend too well. So we've got to do much better than we did against Arkansas, that's for sure. And I think we will. We've come a long way since that first game.
Coach, Doughty, the quarterback, has had some problems, and he's had some problems with some turnovers, especially when you get a little heat on him. So is that's something we're definitely going to be looking at?
Well, you know, to me, he's a very accurate passer. You watch him on film, he manages the game extremely well. You know, he's got a weapon back there that takes a lot of pressure off of him with Antonio Andrews. And so he's doing a great job just getting the ball to his playmakers and not making mistakes. And I think he's a very, very good quarterback.
You mentioned the tackling. How much does not being able to work on that as much ideally early kind of, you know, impact you, and how does it progress?
I think you can tell that our tackling is way improved over the first game, and a lot of that, you know, I mentioned that before that game I was concerned because during camp with depth issues at certain spots, was not able to give our guys a ton of live scrimmage work against live bullets. And I think it sort of showed up there in the first game. And as the season has progressed and we've gotten more playing time, more live playing time, there are guys that become better tacklers, and you still have to work it, you still have to be able to do it. And a lot of it also in tackling to me is when you miss tackles one-on-one in tight, confined spaces, that's coaching. You miss tackles out in the open, that's recruiting. And so, for the most part, our guys are doing a much better job tackling, because we're keeping people inside. We're turning people inside, not letting people on the edge as much as we were. Our outside guys are turning people back inside and to everybody else into pursuit, and that's helped an awful lot.
Coach, we've talked a lot about the negative impact on the schedule this Tuesday, Game 7. Is there a positive because it's on ESPN2, because you're going to branch out there and everybody's going to see you?
You know, that part's a positive, just to get our brand, continue to get our brand out there. We're still working on trying to be more of get our name across, out there nationally. But you know what? I still like playing games on Saturdays. In the past, maybe when we was trying to get our program kick-started, I might have been in favor of all the Tuesday games just to get our name out there, but we've played on TV before now. This is not our first time on TV. It's good for our exposure, but also I like playing in front of our fans on Saturdays in Cajun Field too. I like giving our fans more chances to come to Cajun Field on Saturdays. We only have four Saturday games this year at Cajun Field. We need to have 6 in the future, if not 7. But nevertheless, but the exposure's nice. That'll be good. I'd love to have a home game again at Cajun Field if we did it again on a Tuesday night, which we're going to get one on a Thursday night, which that'll be great to showcase what we have here with our fans and our community and our university.
With that exposure, with facing Petrino, with facing a team that's going to be up in those standings with you, as a coach, how much do you relish these game weeks when there is so much kind of, not necessarily extra, but there's a lot more, kind of exterior with this game?
Well, it's a huge challenge. It makes it that much more of a challenge. We've got not only a different week this week, we're going against a great opponent. It's a road game. It's a televised game, so it's a lot of things to be going on this week with interviews, with TV, and all the things leading up to the televised game. So we just got to make sure that we keep the main thing, and that's getting ready to play on Tuesday. Anything else? All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Coach.